and then creating the oil. But of course we had to go to work care, and he said, how do they cut the leaves? We said, oh, sharp hooks. No, you're not allowed to do that. How do you distill the leaves? Well, we use steam. No, can't go near the steam. And then he said, by the way, we need a fence to keep everyone out, so that's why you see it. What we're showing is the older style using the vats, which you've seen over there, 6 to 8 feet across and could be 12 or 14 feet deep. So instead of using a big boiler, this one created more smoke than anything else. You wouldn't have been able to see it. So we use a little electric 3-phase boiler. So the steam is coming through the pipes underground, and as you can see, we can throw out a bit of steam. So in the bottom of the vat is a thingamajig, whatchamacallit, and this helps to get the leaves out. The original ones are those vat pins on the wall. So this is just an aid. So the first thing you do is put a ladder in there, and the boss would go down the ladder, the bottom of the vat. We don't want it cooking, so we're just a bit less steam. So he would go down there, and you've been out pitchforking all day, the leaves on the truck, and you bring that in, and he would go down inside the vat with a little short handled fork, and he'd be down there, and you'd just grab your lot of leaves, and the idea was that you'd throw them on the side of the vat, and he would pull them down and stack them around the thingamajig. But because when you've been cutting these by hand, these are very sharp, and they could poke your eyes out, give him a scratch on his beautiful complexion, and he used to get a bit of cranky. So he would then stack them around in the bottom and jump up and down and put as many in as you can. And every now and again you throw a few more leaves in, and that would keep going, and he would gradually come up to the top. So we just stack a few. We've only got a small vat here, so it's these are cut by hand, and then you get a little more steam coming through it, and you fairly quickly you'll start to get the aroma of the oil. So we'll throw a few more leaves in. And of course every 3 feet or so, those old vat pins would be pushed in at the centre, and that'll enable you to get the leaves out. I think that'll do it. Now you might have seen the big... Sorry?
Where's the talking? Went down with the small fork.
Oh, he came up gradually. If he's still down there, he's got a problem. No, he just gradually jumped up and down, and he stepped out at the top. And so you would have seen the big concrete lids. So this is the purpose of the jib crane, and as that steam is coming out, this was all sealed by, you'll see as it builds up pressure, the steam comes out the side. All this was sealed with clay, pug, and that was all just wrapped with mud. Nowadays we just use one of those, but all of that was sealed to stop the leaks and help build up the pressure. And you'll see now that the steam is going flat out, up through the leaves, comes up through this cooling system. Now this was what we walked on this side of the old distillery. All of those old pipes were this cooling system. So as the steam comes through the leaves, builds up pressure, 49 degrees, those leaves open up and expand and release the oil. So of course that vapour, the steam is the carriage. It carries that oil vapour through the cooling system, and as the hot steam comes in, steam converts back to water, and the oil comes out and it'll float on top. So eventually out here we'll get some steam coming out, and that'll be converted to water, and we'll get oil floating on top. You can smell the aroma now. Can you smell that? And you'll see that gets fairly hot here, and a bit of steam as that builds up with pressure. So there's still steam coming up there. Now while that's just cooking up, and when you want to look at the different types of leaves. So you've seen all about the blue mallee. So that's the blue mallee leaves. Green mallee, these are the ones in the front and over in the car park. They're a long, slender leaf. Still got some oil, but not as much. And the bull mallee, thick, bulbous leaves. They're a bit harder to get the steam out because they're a thick, waxy coating and a lot harder. But they all grow in the bush in the similar areas. We've also got, and these are what we've planted here, we've planted the blue mallee. This is a red mallee, which is the bush just here. That's a bit hard to tell the difference. They start to look like gum leaves, don't they? They all look the same. And this is the Kamaruka mallee, a variant of the super trees. We've got half a dozen of these super trees growing over there. And they, again, look the same. But when you look at the computer screen, now you won't be able to see it here. But if you look at the computer screen over there on the microscope, we're comparing. The bottom one is the normal blue mallee. The top one is the Kamaruka mallee. And for those people close, you can tell us which one's got more white oil cells. The top one, which is this Kamaruka mallee. So if you hold them up to the light, you'll see those cells. So what that means normally is when the oil is coming out, those super trees are being bred to give much more oil. Now typically when we have a vat full of leaves, and those bins are what you saw on the video, that would generate around 20 litres of oil, which is about the bottom drum here. When they're processing it from the plantation, they get 3 times that. So it's 3 times the productivity in terms of the amount of oil. So that's still coming through. Now, the other area to have a look at is just the lady in the black scarf. On this map of northern Victoria here, right over on the right hand side we've got rustwork, then you go in the middle, and what we're looking at is the yellow areas, and that's called open scrub, which is the blue mallee, bull mallee and the green mallee. And then up to Wedderburn, up north into it here, all the areas to the north and south, naturally growing mallee plantations. And then across the south. Now that area is also gold country. So that's the ironbark forest, all the way from Rushworth right across. And that's where we find the gold. So the gold is in the granite breaks down. You've got all these granitic sands around, very rough, and the mallee thrives in that country. Doesn't like prime agricultural land next to the river in Gippsland or Creswick or whatever. It grows in this rough stuff, and we call it lizard country. But that's why you see it growing in this area. That's right through this. So where you see the ironbark, you'll generally find gold, and you'll see these mallees growing here, and they grow quite prolifically. So that's the area there. Now what we've got running out here now, so we've got some water, and for the amount of leaves, does anyone have a guess on the mass? How much oil comes out of these leaves? Has anyone read it outside? 2 to 3%. So to get a little 50ml bottle like that, you need 8 to 10 kilos of leaves somewhere in the old style. Right? Plantation, you'll get a bit more now. So when we, and you saw Des on there running on the video. So what they would do is they run this out, run the oil into oil and water, out into a jar, and they let that settle, and the oil of course will float to the top. Now generally there's 2 taps here. The bottom one, you just take off the water underneath, goes back to the dam. This is our dam by the way. And the top tap is just the oil, and you run the oil off into a container. And that's what you send down to Melbourne for processing into all those products. Now generally there's not much, well you can smell that, or you can have a whiff of that and tell me what you smell. So, now that will take, we can pass it around, but it's, that would generally cook now for 3 or 4 hours. And after that you gradually get the oil. So it takes a while for that oil to come through, then it'll run really quickly for a couple of hours, and then it tapers off as you've got most of the oil out. After 3 hours, 4 hours, that's cooked in the old vats. So then it's just a process of reversing the process. I've got to turn the steam off otherwise. Now this makes it a bit simpler without another connection. Now once these leaves are and then after the war they had fleets of trucks that had jib cranes on them, and so you'll see in the videos all the old cranes were hand operated, and then they gradually used motors, and so the whole innovation was around trying to make life simpler for these fellas all the time. So you'll see the value of the thingamajig, the whatchamacallit, because you could never get in there and get all those leaves out. So this just pulls the leaves out, and then they were taken around the property to dry off. And then of course once they're dried, they come back and feed the boiler. So they were reused. Nowadays it's owned by DELP, Department of Environment, Land, Water and Property. They look after all the Crown Land assets. This is not the private ones. So they get an allocation of leaves from the royalties that comes back and they burn as fire for the boilers, and the rest get recycled as mulch down at the Botanic Gardens in Cranbourne and the zoo and various other places. So it's a commercial opportunity. So in the bottom of the vat is some awful black gunk stuff, and this is the black water, deoxygenated water, all these terpenes, saps and anything else that's come out of the leaves. You don't have to smell it, if you want to, it's pretty ordinary. But this was processed by the Thanet Works here and Valvoline Oil Company back before the war. And you'll see a wall panel over on the other side. The Thanet Works built a beautiful big shed so they could process the leaves out of the weather all year round. Unfortunately, lots of dry leaves and a big open boiler fire, guess what? They usually burn down. They did have a fire here, caught up over there, but the Thanet Works burned down, and once it burned down, they rebuilt it, and you'll see different photos of it with square chimneys and round chimneys, but they used to process that into a product called Keep Your Radiator Always Clean, KYRAC, and it was used in the war for ships, so they still use it today. You can put that, filter it, and then run it through the boiler pipes to keep them all clean, because there's all sorts of solvents and stuff in there. But they don't use it now, that's just a byproduct. So that's the end of the tour here. As usual, the best part is always when the museum finishes in the retail area, because that's the best part. Right? So feel free to explore as much time as you got. Any questions? Have a look at the microscope. You'll see the leaves there. There's a station over there. So that's cineol, and the different components of the oil are broken out, so you can have a sniff of that if you like, and otherwise browse all the products and take something back with you. Any questions other than that? It's all good.
Good on you, Murray.